Sir, I am leaving.
Good morning, all my friends from across the globe as a participants. Our worthy President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, T. Atul Kumar Gupta ji, our Vice President, the Honorable Vice President CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, our the guest speaker, rather the guest of honor, Prakash Challa ji, who happens to be a president of the Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, a bridge between the two countries to promote the exports and trade and commerce for the nation. Our friends from the Sydney chapter, the past or rather founder chairman of the Sydney chapter, Yatendra ji, Subbu ji, the chairman, Subbu Subramaniam ji, the chairman of the Sydney chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, and another friend, Prashant Bharat ji, as a member of the Sydney chapter, and my colleague and in the committee and my co-chairman in the committee, Dheeraj Khandelwal ji. I, on behalf of the committee and on my own behalf, welcome you all the participants to a great program which has been naturally for the purpose of the promotion of the Indian accounting into the not only to the limiting to the Australia, though today it is focusing on the Australia, the competencies to be understood with, then only one can move forward. Basically, it's well said, unless until you have a clear understanding and definitely a zeal to move forward with the best of the execution, things cannot happen with. The measurement has to be first, and then only if you can measure it, you can manage it. It is well said, that has to be understood with, and today we have all the personalities, those who have a connect between the India and the Australia, and our leaders of our profession, our President sir and our Vice President sir, and President from the Indo-Australian Chamber also. That is a great movement for each one of us for development of the profession across. So friends, you understand with this committee in a proactive manner to the best of its systems, best of its resources available, they are utilizing it and giving best to the fraternity by way of the knowledge, by way of the understanding, by way of the growth, by way of the development of the profession. You see, like we have two wings, one is as a regulator, another as a developer. This committee is definitely with more on the focus on the development of the profession and as a global profession. Basically, you see, like we have a 35 chapters across the globe, and it is definitely great vision of our leaders at the profession, those who thought of bringing this profession to the global arena. And this year itself, so many good initiatives by our President and the Vice President. They brought another wing, another understanding. It is not only the chapter which will serve, rather we have to come out with some representative offices also, where their numbers are not to the extent to reach to the chapter level, but we have to find out the alternatives so that our reach are been growing day by day. With that perspective, our President and the Vice President thought of under the definitely a visionary minds. They brought so many good things during this year also. Friends, with these words, though I'll be sharing some another 2-3 points with me as far as the growth of this reaching to the cross the border, not limiting our profession to the within the border. So that with that kind of mind, this committee has already been shared or rather enter into the MOUs with the different institutions which are equally competent, those who are working hard for the country, those who are working for the growth of this nation and catalyst work like a catalyst in the developing of the economy of the country. Like we have entered into an MOU with the Service Export Promotion Council, which will be hand-holding with us, and we are hand-holding with them with a common objective for the growth of this profession. Another, we have entered into the MOU a year before, maybe 2 years before, is the Invest India. That is also instrumental and working like a catalyst to develop this profession in addition to so many other things in their hand. So basically, this committee as such, though under the guidance and the supervision and the control of our worthy president and the vice president, and with the support of our committee members and the support from the members in toto, we are eagerly looking for some sports from the chapters abroad, also representative offices from the globe also. Our vice chairman, rather co-chairman, is also working hard, very knowledgeable person in the profession, having traveled across. So with those kind of understanding, we are moving forward and hope will be, it is a perpetuity, it is a continuous journey. And this year also will be proven to be a year which has gone a little step further, and the subsequent years also will be moving in that manner, so that we put our fingerprints and brought this country into the developed nation in the time to come. And this accounting profession being a profession which is being taught about it's a not limiting to the profession of accountancy, rather a profession with a holistic approach, complete business solution provider. Whether it is the management skill, whether it is the accounting skill, financial skill, even HR related, even the business development. So many good things are there in this profession, and this profession is the only profession which can pave the way towards the developed nation, bring this to the developed nation. That is the only point I thought of I must share with you. And we eagerly, with a strength of more than 3 lakh chartered accountants and good people around us from the other fraternity, from the sport, from the government, and like we have a understanding, government has brought this particular segment into the focus area as a champion sector to be taken forward in the globe. With these words, I welcome you again all, and I'll request Dheeraj Bhai to take the journey of the today's program further, and I request him to share his words and subsequently
Sir, before that, I would request the Honorable Vice President of the ICAI, Nihar Jammu Saryaji, to address the participants. Unmute, sir. Unmute. Nihar, sir, unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Chuk ji and Dheeraj ji. Good morning, everybody. Honorable President of the Institute, C.A. Atul ji, President of Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, Sri Prakash Challa, and the keynote speaker today, Sitting Chairman of Sydney Chapter, C.A. Subbu Subramaniam, Founder Chairman of Sydney Chapter, C.A. Yatinder Gupta ji, the member of Sydney Chapter, C.A. Prasant Barad, and all the viewers. Let me at the outset compliment the Committee for Export of CA Services and WTO for organizing this webinar for the benefit of members. And as I understand, particularly this webinar will be more helpful to the young members and the aspiring CAs who would like to settle in a country outside India, more especially in Australia. This committee has done excellent work by exploring possibilities of spreading our services in the globe. And post-COVID, I think with the use of technology, we have realized that the entire globe is one, and we hardly have any territorial barriers. So today, 4 stalwarts in Australia have come forward to help the colleagues in India. And I understand even in the past, sometimes I was in touch with C.A. Yatinder Gupta ji when some members from India wanted to shift to Australia, and he came forward and helped them extensively in settling down in Australia. As I understand, our country, our institute has MRA with Australia. And under the MRA, if an Indian CA who has done graduation wants to be qualified as Australian Chartered Accountant, he has to clear only one paper on business strategy and leadership. And if the Indian CA is not a graduate, then he has to undergo some practical experience in Australia. So this is the position as of now. But again, this reciprocity is not 100%. Indian CA can have this degree, but he does not get license to practice in Australia. He can take up an assignment or job in industry. This is my understanding. And these four stalwarts who are here will very precisely guide our members as to what are the openings in Australia. One more point I would like to put forward to the chapter chairman and even founder chairman and members of the chapter, that Australia is a very big country, and if Indian Institute can spread its wings in other parts of Australia by setting up some more chapters or rep offices, our honorable president has evolved a new concept of rep office. If you can do that, I think it will be very good, because I have learnt from all those CAs who have settled in Australia that there is a humongous opportunity in Australia for Indian accountants. And if we have presence in other parts of Australia, probably it would help more to the Indian chartered accountants in exploring professional avenues or taking up job in Australia. With this expectation, let us have today's webinar addressed by the stalwarts, and before that, our own president and our own chairman, vice chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman and vice chairman, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Vice President Nihal Jammu for your address. And now I request the Honorable President of the ICAI, Sri CA Atul Gupta ji, to address the participants.
Thank you, Dheeraj Bhai. Very respected Honorable Vice President of ICAI, CA Nihar Jammu Sariya ji, Honorable Council Member CA Hansraj Chugh ji, the Chairman of this export and export of CA services and the WTO committee, with the Vice Chairman, the ably supporting Vice Chairman Dheeraj Khandelwal ji, the President of Indo-Australia chapter, Indo-Australia Chamber, Prakash ji, our colleagues from the Sydney, Subhu ji, Yatinder ji, and Prakash, other colleague from the Sydney chapter, and all the viewers. A very good morning to all of you, and I believe it's a good afternoon at Australia. So good afternoon, Australia. At the outset, I congratulate the chairman and vice chairman for organizing the continuous series of programs, and which shows the dedication of the honorable chairman of the committee towards the alma mater of the profession. And I believe that the way the honorable chairman and vice chairman is working in this committee, recently we witnessed that they entered into the MOU with the Service Export Promotion Council, and prior to that they also organized number of webinars to share the various opportunities available, how we can have the more and more relationship at the global level, how we can have the networking at the global level. So it will go a long way. Thanks to Chugh Saab and Dheeraj Bhai for taking so much of the efforts for the profession. Friends, you all will agree with me that the profession which started in 1949 with only one headquarter, today with the support of all of you and the volunteers of the profession who are working day and night, whether it's in India or it's outside India. Today we have more than 165 branches and 35 plus overseas chapter with some representative offices recently being launched. The ultimate objective of having all these branches and the overseas chapter, not only to give facilitation of the facilitation as a catalyst for the economic and social for the empowerment of all the members and the students, but also to offer a global gateway to our students and the members who are pursuing the CA qualification. You all will agree with me that today, out of the 350,000 plus chartered accountants, there are more than 40,000 plus chartered accountants who are located, who are settled overseas, and today they are on the very senior position at the one or the other organization, which shows the, I will say, the depthness of the profession, which shows the respect for the profession and the acceptability of the profession at the global level. But at the same time, it should be our endeavor that not only we have to see that more and more glory of the profession, more and more facilitation of the to the members and students should be there, but also at the same time, since it is always being mentioned that the ICAI is the partner in nation building, we have to see that how in the dream project of 5 trillion target and rebooting the Indian economy, how the profession can contribute at this particular COVID pandemic situation. So friends, there are the two perspectives of my discussion. One is that how we have to reboot the economy, how we have to see that we are reaching this 5 trillion target maybe 1 year or 2 years later than the date which we decided earlier. And at this point of time, I believe that the presence of Prakashji and our other colleagues from the Sydney chapter, Sydney and Australia will be very, very useful, because recently we organized the meetings with all our chapters, and even we have started with a scheme on the 1st of July to mentor the MSME by our chartered accountant. So there will be, I will say, the connecting dots, which is will manage, rightly managed by Chuk Saab and Dheeraj Bhai. That one side we have the overseas chapters, we have the on the other side we have the MSME units which are being getting mentored by the chartered accountants, and gradually our target is to make them all the export oriented units, so that in the times to come they can contribute in this our dream project of Atam Nirbhar Bharat. So friends, I am aware that with the presence of Prakash ji and our other colleagues from the Australia and this coordination, I believe that this will initiate a long way, a new way for our members, that how they can support, even they can export their services, as well as how they can become a catalyst for the other MSME unit to become an exporter, and specifically when we are talking about the Australia per se. Friends, apart from that, you will be agree with me that the chapters are also playing a very, very important role. They are the brand ambassador of our profession, and they are very important, I will say, the connecting point for our members who are going abroad. Vice President sir just mentioned that your qualification is a kind of a, through the mutual recognition agreement, is a qualification which is recognized in the Australia as well. You have to appear only in one paper, and you can become a CP Australia or even the CA ANZ. And very soon we are going to revive the earlier MOU being signed, because after a passage of time we have to renew the agreements with all the institutions to provide the uninterrupted services to our members. Now, at this point of time, it was very, very important that we have to strengthen our chapters as well. And for that, I just wish to share with you that recently, a few days back, we invited the Foreign Secretary of the India, our country, and he agreed on this very important point that very soon the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of External Affairs, will recognize our all chapters overseas, and they will be at par with the any other chamber or any other economic bodies, like the other body. They are taking the support or they are providing the support. So it will be a kind of a, so when we are saying the partner in nation building, it will be in a real sense that we will be working shoulder to shoulder, and the chapters will be playing a very, very important role. At the same time, we are also taking various new initiatives to support the chapters. May it be opening the representative offices, may it be creating our own office, because recently we started our own office in Singapore. Now we have received the proposal on a self-sufficient basis from the San Francisco, and maybe in the times to come, the days are not far away when we will be talking about our own office in the Australia as well. Friends, apart from that, we are also working on a international qualification module, wherein our profession will be launching the international qualification in the times to come, so that our not only it is the our Indian colleagues, our Indian students are joining this course, but the students from the international jurisdiction may also join our course, looking the, I will say, the depth and the respect of the profession at the global level. So friends, there are a number of initiatives, including the launching of the foreign policy of the ICAI, supporting the chapters, making them self-sufficient, organizing the virtual certificate courses in support of the chapters, and so on and so on. So I believe that with all the presence of Prakash ji and our colleagues from the Sydney, and the initiative taken by Hansraj ji and Dheeraj Khandelwal ji as the chairman and vice chairman, will go and pave the long way and will set up the tone wherein our members will be exploring the being shared by the and I believe that will be a very important discussion and will be a happy, I will say, not only learning but also the happy futuristic initiatives will be there in the times to come. I'm aware that looking into the digital disruption, looking into the different way of doing business, looking into the internationalization of the various law, it is very important for all of us that we need to create these challenges into the opportunity, and this will be the right way when the Hansraj Chugji and Dheeraj Khandelwal ji has taken the lead to guide our members to reskill themselves and be ready for the future. Thank you very much, Chugji Sahab and Dheeraj Khandelwal ji and all my colleagues, including the Honorable Vice President, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable President, sir. Very rightly you mentioned about the Foreign Secretary has recently announced that our chapter going to be equivalent to the various state bodies, and now we have the Indo-Australian chapter President Prakash Challaji. The Prakash Challaji is basically from Hyderabad, raised from Hyderabad. He is a MSc. He's a banker. He served in the Andhra Bank as well as the PNB for almost Punjab National Bank for almost 12 years. Then thereafter he started his own business, 2 or 3 businesses. Then immediately came to the real estate sector, and currently he is the managing director of SSPDL company, which is in estate project having office in Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Kerala. And currently he is the president of the Indo-Australian chapter. So I request the Prakash Challaji to address the participant how the institute chapter can work together with the chapter with your organization, as you have seen that we have the 3 chapters in the Australia. One is the Sydney chapters, one is the Melbourne chapter, one is the Brisbane chapter. 3 chapters we are having. We have the lot of good large presence in the Australia. So now I request for your address how we can be partners in your services.
Thank you. Thank you, Dheeraj ji. Happy morning to all in India and happy afternoon to those who are in Sydney. And at the outset, I would like to thank Sri Atul Gupta ji, the president of the ICAI, and Mr. Nihar Jambusaria, the vice president, Mr. Hansraj Chugji, the chairman of the committee, and Mr. Dheeraj Khandelwal, who is a deputy chair, and the colleagues from Sydney, Mr. Subramaniam, who is the current chairman, and the past founder chairman, Mr. Yatinder, and Mr. Prashant, the current member, and all the viewers. Initially, I was I should really thank that you have given me the privilege of delivering this keynote address during the session on understanding the competencies of accounting professionals in Australia. Initially, I was a little apprehensive as to, I'm not even competent to talk about the subject. Then I realized that, okay, the subject on which I have been asked to talk was on the India and Australia business links. I'm very much impressed that on a Sunday morning that you have such a huge gathering, and you are having, I think, about 10,000 and odd members who are keen on doing it. I just had about 3 days of preparation. I think on Thursday only I got the note from the department, from the chamber. And then yesterday I had a chat with Mr. Hansraj Chugji, and he wanted me to touch on some aspects of it. As you rightly said, that any business to progress, you need a catalyst. And the catalyst is a chamber of commerce. And when it comes to the Indo-Australian businesses, you have the Indo-Australian chamber. Let me briefly talk to you about the chamber. This chamber is a 30-year-old chamber. It was started with thanks to the two prime ministers from Australia and India 30 years ago. And they felt that there should be a bilateral chamber focusing on the business aspects. And it is headquartered out of Chennai. And we have about close to 500 and odd members across the country and quite a few members in Australia too. We have about 100 and odd members from Australia, Australian companies who are members with us here. We have about 80% of them are in the MSME sector. So we cater more to the MSME sector than to the larger industries, because usually the larger industries, they know their way through, and MSME sector is what they require and they come in. And recently we started encouraging even the Australian alumni to join us. I took over the chamber in 2018 September. The chamber is governed with a board of directors, and we have executive committee members spread across the country. And I have an able assistant in terms of a vice president who assists me in our joint actions about what to do with the business opportunities. After I took over, what happened was we started looking at how do we create dynamism into the bringing. So we have done a lot of changes in the energy, in bringing in energy and dynamism with the recruitment of one Petula Thomas as a director. She comes with a very impressive background of having worked with Austrade, the trade body of the Australian government, and a long stint with the British Deputy High Commission, Chennai. In 2019, we started expansion of the chamber because last 29 years rather, it has been considered as a Chennai-centric chamber. So we opened the first chapter last May in Mumbai, the Western India chapter, and in September we opened the Bengaluru chapter. Our next in the agenda is to open the Delhi chapter, the Northern India chapter. We have already identified the chairperson there as a very senior gentleman who has a lot of experience on the Indo-Australian trade. So we thought that he should be the right person to head it. So unfortunately, we had planned originally to have it by March, but because of this COVID and all that, we could not do it. Now we'll probably launch it online sometime this month or the next month. And finally, we'll be opening the chapter in Kolkata. We don't have any overseas chapter as such, but we work closely with the AIBC. Subbu, you must have heard about the AIBC there in terms of how much reach they have. Mr. Yatindar, you are also aware that Australia-India Business Council, that's the largest body which is available there in India, in Australia. And they are very keen about partnering with us. There are other chambers also who approached us, but we will be taking up. Ours is the only recognized chamber which is recognized by the Government of Australia, and we work very closely with the businesses of Australian government. I should say that as far as the Australian government is concerned, you have the consular section, which is where all the visa issues and all those and policy issues are decided. But you have the other major wing is the Austrade. Austrade is where all of us should get into in terms of the business perspective. Each state, you are aware that there are about 5 states there. Most of the states have their own Austrade representatives based out of India. You have the New South Wales, you have Victoria, you have Queensland, you have Western Australia and South Australia. There are not much presence of Hobart, but this gets covered maybe in South Australia, we don't know. But otherwise, most of the businesses are happening from there. And Western Australia is the main thing in terms of the coal imports which are coming in. The chamber works aggressively with all the local chapters, local Indian chambers like the FICCI, the CII, the ASSOCHAM and CREDAI in terms of bringing in value to the members. And we are the actual link between the Australian companies and Australian service providers who operate out of India. There are quite a few companies here which I will come to in terms of operations, what exactly is happening. Just to give you a perspective about the business, because I was told that I should talk a little about the business aspect, about what's the kind of businesses which is happening across the table in terms of Australia and India. It is pretty interesting that India is Australia's 18th largest investment destination, and Australia is India's 27th largest export destination. The Indo-Australian Economic Partnership has resulted in a trade of $30.3 billion and an investment of another $30.7 billion by 2019. During this year, I don't think anything much has happened. Maybe we are retaining the old businesses thanks to what's happened in the recent months. I'm quite sure that I would like to give a little statistics about what the kind of imports and exports or what type of businesses which are getting imported from there. By and large, the products which are getting from there in terms of imports are all into the coal. Coal is close to 75% of coal is what is coming there. We have a lot of minerals and mineral related issues which are coming into India from the Australian side. And our exports are in the passenger vehicles, motor vehicles, there is a lot of potential. Then we have the various pharmaceuticals, then textiles and garments and tea, gems and jewelry, home furnishings, leather goods. These are the potential products which products of import from India into Australia. And the reverse is still, we need coal. Coal has to be imported. Then you have wool and other animal ferrous materials and ferrous scrap you have copper ores and non-ferrous base metals. Typically, our entire businesses from Australia has been more centric towards the metals and not much. The future, of course, which they want to bring in is the agriculture produce. To give you the highlights of the trade, the coal has dominated to the extent of 75% of the Australia's export basket. The highlights of the other bilateral merchandise is significant increase in Indian exports of the medicaments and the largest Indian export to Australia. And the import of fertilizers is again a major thing which is coming in. Then we have a trade of services. Many IT companies, financial services companies, banks, state and federal government agencies in Australia are already outsourcing the work in India. It is primarily due to the lower cost of labor and highly skilled resources available in India. The scientific research services industry in Australia includes a range of government and private sector organizations operating across many scientific research fields, particularly in medical, health and IT. The industry relies heavily on public sector funding, despite the Australian government increasingly calling for greater self-funding. Education is another major sector where a lot of about close to 40,000 plus annually students from India go over there, and quite a few Australian universities are operating out of India also. Then in the investment category, I already told you. Now, actually to the extent of in the calendar year of 2018, the last investment we have is the Australian investment to India stands at Australian $15.6 billion and an FDI of 1.6 billion. And during the same period, the reverse of Indian investment to Australia stood at 15.1 billion and the FDI of 0.9 billion. You must have seen, or quite a few of you would have read about the India Economic Strategy Report, authored by the former Australian High Commissioner, Peter Varghese. I don't know how many of you have gone through it or read about it, and this was commissioned by them to understand that 2035, what will be the kind of scenario which is going to happen across the India and Australian businesses. So they have identified that about 10 sectors and 10 states where Indian states, where the Australian businesses can have entry into and do business together, but at the same time, they have very nicely identified what are the states in India where the Australian investment can come, but also look at where are the challenges for them, because there will be a lot of Indian industry which is already competitive enough. 4 major states which they have talked about as the economic powerhouse in India are the Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. These are the 4 states which they have said that these are the powerhouses for India in terms of. They say that they contribute to close to around 45 to 50% of the export market and the financial markets. Now, when it comes to the 10 sectors, and then the other states are they have identified AP and Telangana as states which are considered to be the fastest growing. They are just about growing. They are not reached the level. Then you have the other lesser growing states like West Bengal. Then you have West Bengal. Then you have UP. Then NCR is taken in as the last. They feel that NCR and Delhi are together. It will take a longer time for them to look at in terms of businesses to catch up. There are not much investments from Australia which has gone in there. Now, again, this entire background, there is a very interesting report which even India has commissioned Mr. Former Ambassador Anil Wadhwa to come out with a report on similar lines. This was the Peter Varghese report was from the government of Australia side, so it is coming in from the Indian side. So they would like to look at it. Unfortunately, that was slated for release in February when your President Scott Morrison was supposed to be coming here. He could not make it. So last minute changes are there. It's still yet to come out. But they too have identified that there are a lot of possibilities of the areas like infrastructure and urban infrastructure development plus transport sectors where Australia can come and invest into India, and that's the kind of a thing. Again, this background, because you are a part of the services industry, very interesting is the RCEP. I don't know how many of you have heard about the RCEP. RCEP is what we have to look at the future. RCEP is the regional. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You carry on.
Yeah,
sir,
you can hear? Okay, sorry. It's a regional comprehensive economic partnership. This is RCEP was promoted by the 10 ASEAN countries. You know most of the ASEAN countries which you are there, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar and all those. So they are the ones which they promoted and they looked at that why don't we tie up 16 countries. So they started with China, Japan, South Korea. They wanted India, Australia and New Zealand to join together. So they felt that the 16 countries could form a regional big powerhouse, and which they talked about in numbers was humongous. They talked about that 45% of the global population is going to be in these 16 countries, and they will have access to a GDP, world GDP of around close to 35%. And in terms of the question of businesses which are going to happen, that will be the largest in the world. Maybe this was to a large extent promoted by China. So China was the one which most of the ASEAN countries are dependent to a large extent on Chinese investment which is going in. Now India had to a large extent, they said that okay, they are going to sign up, but last November when our Prime Minister had gone to Thailand to sign up, finally they said no, they backed out. We said that there are some concerns from India. Now what are the concerns from India is very interesting to understand, because Subbu, you are in Australia. Every time we discuss with the government, they say that why your RCEP is not being signed, and what is it? We won't collaborate much with the government of India. India, we thought that is coming out with us. Now that's going to impact our trade and relationship, and this is where it comes in. Like what India has been demanding is one, the date of the trade barriers, which you are talking about. That's one of the main crucial issue. 2013 is what they are talking about, because in 2012 this was formed and 2013. So now we are saying that no, it should be post 2014 because the government changed, and 2013 there were too many low trade barriers fixed for China, and India would have been flooded with all these Chinese goods, and which will impact our MSME sector. Hansraji, I'm okay with the timing.
Yeah, it's okay, but you have to brief it up, and then subsequent we have another gentleman.
So those are the kind of things which we need to look at, and services sector is where you are coming to the picture from the services side. So that's where the RCEP is not clear about it. Services sector, it opens up, all your problems also will get solved, because they are not willing to look at coming out with giving any benefit in terms of allowing our skilled workers to come into the other countries and come out. So maybe in the regional political level which is happening today, going forward, because Australia is now slowly trying to wean away from China, So most likely that they are looking at a direct partnership with India, and we should be able to get whatever we are looking at. I thought that I should bring it to your notice, this particular aspect. And as far as our several members, I told you about the Australian company, they're quite happy with the level of transparency which is happening there. And quite a few of the Australian companies are also happy because a lot of changes have happened systemic changes have been brought in by the government of India in the last 4 years. So in terms of the GST was a great incentive which has come in. Now a lot of transparency in the transactions are happening, and the recent corporate changes are happening in terms of bringing down the corporate taxation level. Now the chamber is where you should look at in terms of interacting with, as far as your members are concerned, if they want to participate, because we take about close to average, we have so far taken about 20 delegations to Australia. Last year I brought in an Australian one. We had a real estate developers coming in for about 4 days. We were in Sydney. So there are a lot of inter-transfer which is happening in. If you have any issues with the government of Australia, yes, you can look at us, because we have an excellent rapport with Australia across all the states. So we are there to help you. So let us partner. We are also very enthused that yes, you are wanting to partnering with us. Yes, we are there to help you out. Going forward, what the wish list of the government of India is that we should reach into the Australia's third top destination for them to look at India as an exporter as well as an investment destination. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hansraj. Anything else? We can take the question and answers later, or you want to have it now?
Yeah, thank you, Prakash ji. Now we'll be having another speakers, all the 3 speakers from Sydney.
Please.
Then as this round will be over, then there will be a question answer round where you have to be a participative, because there may be so many questions related with the business also and related with the accounting profession also. Dheeraj ji.
Ji, sir. So I think very nicely presented by Prakash ji. Very rightly said that RCP is not signed, but ICAI already provided the inputs on RCP in service sector. India backed out RCP because of the benefits of the domestic companies. Dialogue is still going on because of the China of us not favorable. So it's it's on the move. And very rightly, you have presented the India, Australian trade. It's a very important trade partnership. $15, $1 million, $1 billion partnerships are there from each side. It's where the chartered accountant are playing a big role in terms of their needs in all advising, all auditing, all kind of working in India as well as in the Australian. That is why the entire discussion being organized today about the how the Australian government or the chapters or chartered accountant are benefiting in the Australia, and what the opportunities are there in the Australia, and what are opportunities are while sitting in India. That's why entire the 3 panelists are here to address all the queries issues. And I'm very thankful, Prakash ji, for your time and value input. Surely ICAI will take part of it from your thought process. We from the ICAI chapter are welcoming your any kind of delegation to the whether it's Sydney, whether it's Melbourne or Brisbane, any city. Whenever you visit, Yusubbu is there, Yatendra is there for the Sydney chapter. For Melbourne, we have the other chapter. Please go and take the your delegation. You will get the pure homage, excellent kind of services from our chapter. Our people are there, and will be your delegation definitely going to benefit, because whenever the delegation is going to be there, you need a chartered accountant services, where to invest, how to invest, and where you have to take this up. So it's we have all the team, and ICAI chapter is there. So thank you very much. We'll surely join you. I also thankful to the president and vice president Nihal Jamosariya for their address. Thank you very much. Now it's time for the our panelists those are the panelists, are all the three panelists: Yatindra Gupta ji, chapter chairman of the chapter, and Subbu Subramaniam. Yatindra ji going to take the entirely debate on the practicing chartered accountant. What are the opportunities for the practicing chartered accountant are there? Prashant Barod will take the what are the job opportunities are there, how the chapters are working for the chartered accountant, for newly qualified chartered accountant, and how the chapters are serving to them, what are the opportunities in the jobs. And Subbu is in all, being a chapter, he's in a job, and he will describe what are the chapters are working to the helping to the all members. So entirely we frame up the question answers, and now I'll open up the question answer. And before that question answer, I'll request Yatin Gupta ji to deliver your address in 5 minutes, because we have a lot of you. Just brief in 5 minutes to address the members what you think about the India and Australia, because everyone is looking from last so many years, from last 10 years, every chartered accountant are moving towards the Australia, and every people are showing that there's a huge opportunity whether in the practice or job. So in this aspects, please direct our member in terms of the practice. So Yatin Gupta ji, over to you. Unmute, sir. Unmute.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dheeraj. And I want to really say one acknowledgement for Atulji that he started a rep offices in America on 4th of January. Remarkable. We took this initiative 10 years ago, and I can see the benefit of it. The part, if I can mention, that you offer the services to Prakashji about when he will be here. Actually, when Vanlal Bhavnaji was here, he keep on inviting us when your delegation was here, and we proactively help your delegate member. We offer even businesses to them, just for that remark. As Ansaraji, thanks for again conducting. We have to do a few bit of formality. Nihalji, they have both actually gone, but Nihalji mentioned something about young chartered accountant. I think we should consider everybody, and we should consider both ways. Not only people coming here, but people going there as well, and how we can really work together so that we can achieve what Atulji said, $5 trillion economy. The big picture, and we have to talk about big picture. We will be answering question later, but I just wanted to say a few things. That 40,000 members, which are overseas, they are big asset. And Atulji has really started this a movement, I would say, which we were missing for a long time. Atulji, if you listen later on also, I think what we have to do, if I can request through this platform, take us that level where we can truly help everybody, not just us 40,000. I'm not talking about you are helping this 40,000 members, but 40,000 members, how we can help so that we can come to your platform in actively participating manner. Also, as I requested you before, Tulji, if we can help over those countries who does not have proper accounting institutions, as Ansaraj is saying, if you can't measure, you can't manage. This is something we can help those countries to measure their resources so that our profession can help them to manage it. On this point, if I can also say, Prakashji, the 3-4 sectors which really can have a big impact immediately for Australia as a business. One is the two-wheelers. Australia has really opened up market for two-wheelers. We do not have good and cheap. I mean, I have to say cheap, but it's a price-conscious market. Scooters, motorcycle, both can be so much exported here, and made in India will have far more advantage for everybody. And plumbing accessories, made in China product. I was researching this one, and I thought if I can share a few things. Made in China brand does not have this good repute. Though some Apple type of people, they manufactured in China, but they have their own goodwill. But plumbing and building accessories as well, they can be exported to India in big way. So, Pratasi, something work for you
You're
if you
saying
can target
exported
those
or
area.
imported? Exported or
Export
imported?
from India to Australia.
Okay. That's all.
They are the ready market for you.
Okay.
Okay. I do whatever I'm talking to you with my research, with my own research and finding. So hopefully it will help. Now coming back, how many minutes we have before we go to question and answer? Now we can't hear you, Dheeraj. Okay.
Oh, you
Now,
can take up the time, 2-3 minutes.
okay, I can take up. So talking about the profession. In profession, generally we have compliance and call it other, right? Compliance means tax and audit. And of course, you know that for both tax and audit, you need to have local license for that. For tax to get the license, you have to work under a Australian tax agent, and then you get license. So even if you have a chartered, like in India, if you are a chartered accountant, you don't need license. But here it does not work that way. You can be CPA or CA with the professional license as well, but you need to have separate license for tax, for audit, financial planning, brokerage, you name it. Everybody got a license, which is called actually a certification process here. If I can add this thing, why they have taken this approach. So each and every profession got a bit of like a bit of specialization here. So if you get, say, suppose even if you do CPA, it's not going to help you much. You have to do an additional course, additional something, and work experience, so that you can work in that area. Hope I have cleared.
Yeah.
For audit, what you have to do, 2,000 hours of experience required in audit. And then ASIC, ASIC will give you the license for that. So again, there's a bit of perception in India that once you are a chartered accountant, you can do everything. It does not help. So a lot of questions people ask, if I do CPA, what will happen? I can do this and that. The answer is really no. You have to do further certification if you want to call it.
Oh.
So you do CPA, and then you become a CPA, then you do a professional part of that. So the additional one paper, and then you do something for tax, so then you become tax agent. And then the experience comes with the audit. So hope I have cleared that. But the other services does not really require certification, but it requires heavy experience. Without that, I mean, if you do one mistake, it can cost you a lot. There's nothing called होता है वो वाली बात नहीं कि वो ठीक कर लेंगे. But you have to appreciate. I'll highlight few services. Say payroll. Payroll is a big business here because one of the most complicated payroll system we have in Australia. We are not proud of that. Our Prime Minister is trying to help it, but labor union and all those things stopping. Management reporting, cash flow and virtual cash flow. I'll talk about something this later. We have a few questions about it. And cross-border advising. This could be very important for our practicing accountant who are in India. See, we have COVID-19. God bless. We have this one. I want to really take as an opportunity. Till at least mid of next year, we are not going to have any immigration or any aeroplane coming in. Why we should not take this time as an opportunity and learn something about Australia and start delivering those services from India to Australia. And one of that, we do this cash flow or what we call virtual cash flow or CFO, virtual CFO services. And yes, somebody got a bird floating.
So I said, very excited, thought about, and I really very happy and excited seeing that you are a दिल है हिंदुस्तानी. आपका पीछे भी current आपका जो इंडिया का पूरा पूरा मैं होगा। आपका जो मन से बात निकल रही है, दिल हिंदुस्तानी वाली बात निकल रही है। आप बात कर रहे हो एक्सपोर्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया की बात कर रहे हो, एवरीथिंग यहाँ आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया में बैठ के, यू आर अमेजिंग. So I'll take come again on the very question answer.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
now have the Subbu Subramaniam from the Sydney chapter. So I request Subbu Subramaniam, please address in 2-3 minutes.
In the meantime, I'll request everyone whosoever is not muted, mute कर लेंगे तो वो थोड़ा सा disturbance will be. Yeah, I'll request everyone.
Thank you, Hansrajji and Dheerajji, for the opportunity to address our Indian Chartered Accountants from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Also want to thank our ICAI President, Atulji, Vice President Nehaji, and also want to acknowledge the speech given by Mr. Prakash Chala, who is the President of Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce. And again, thank you everyone for listening in. So I have the honor of representing the Sydney today, the chairman of the chapter. And Atulji did mention about representative offices and all of that, but although we are based in Sydney, we do have branches in Adelaide, Perth, Canberra, and Darwin. And we've been having that for many years now. So now for us to actually think about representative offices, today I'll talk in the 3 to 4 minutes. I'll talk a little bit about what is needed from a skills perspective, and two is how does the chapter support that. And then, of course, I can talk more about it when you have questions about it. So the activities we conduct every month are like the minimum number of events we have is like 3. So 2 CPDs, 1 workshop and all. And July actually happens to be a very busy month for us where we have 5 events. And we also have an international conference, which we have in October every year. Just want to acknowledge the contribution of all our volunteers and the committee who actually help us run this show. Remember that we don't get paid for it. It's all a volunteer job. And this is out of, our busy schedules that we do. And this, of course, applies to all the committees, which Hansrajji and Dheerajji are part of as well. So quickly moving to, I guess, the skills. I would divide that into 2 parts. So one is the technical skills and the other is the soft skills. So technical skills, Yatinderji has already spoken about accounting, tax, audit, compliance and all of that. Just wanted to mention that we actually have an event. There is a popular software that's used here, which is called Zero. And also there's something called BAS. So we actually have a workshop on 25th of July. If you want more details, you can visit our website, icai.org.au. I want to let you know that Australia is a highly regulated country. So what that means is that the technical skills need to include a lot of understanding of the rules and regulations of that particular industry and the economy as such. Now, the difference between how, at least traditionally, how, we've kind of studied when I kind of did my CA, and then what I'm kind of seeing how things have changed in India as well now, and also the same thing that happens with CPA Australia and CANZ is that, as you know, we have an MRA with them. We got to give one subject. But what they are testing there is more of the practical aspects of the study material rather than the theoretical aspects. So that's one key skill that you got to kind of remember is how do you apply the theory into the practical scenarios. Moving on to the soft skills, the key here is communication, and you would that would be kind of the key. And the communication obviously has a lot of different aspects to it. The written communication, the oral communication and all of that. And another example I want to give there is, again, we have an MRA with CANZ, and the way they actually test is actually they don't even have any exams. They just have a group discussion, just like the ones that you have for MBA and all of that. And they actually assess us based on that. So you can imagine so much of emphasis is on communication. Last couple of points is just on the work culture over here. So it's pretty fun. It's based on trusting relationships, extremely professional. And one thing which I've observed is that, people do come in early, work, and then leave on time. it can't be perceived as people being kind of lazy or anything, but it's actually being extremely professional during the work hours, being really focused about the job, and then getting out of the office on time. Lastly is just on the COVID-19 and what the state of the economy is. So, I mean, I would actually be giving you a wrong impression if I were to say that, if I were to give you a very rosy picture, things are obviously subdued. It's a challenging time for all of us. Having said that, people who have, I guess, the right qualities, the right skills, and the niche that they kind of bring to the table, they are always in good demand. And I'll just want to leave you with saying that we have actually got a new migrants pack that is there on our website, again, icai.org.au. I would request you to have a look at that. In fact, that's been so appreciated that all the other overseas chapters have also, thought of kind of doing something on those lines as well. So that's all I wanted to kind of talk about. And then, of course, I can talk more when there are more questions. Thanks, Dheeraj.
Thank you. Now I request Prasant Barot for your address for 2 minutes, then we'll have the question answers too.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Thanks everyone for joining in today. I would like to thank President and Vice President of ICAI, and then Hansraj ji, Dheeraj ji, and Prakash ji. Thank you, the committee, for giving me this opportunity. So what I think is, normally what we do at the chapter is we take a new migrants workshop. So this is a very detailed workshop for around 3 hours for any new migrant who migrates to Australia to get his foot into the door into the job market. Typically, it's a 3-hour workshop, so I've got a task to complete that in 10 minutes. So thank you for giving me that challenging task today, guys. Okay, I wanted to kind of put that in different parameters to make it very crisp today. So what I want to talk about is what are the common impediments faced by the new migrants coming to Australia. So first and foremost is there is no local experience to these new migrants. A lot of the rejection which the candidates get when they apply for the job here is you don't have a local experience. So what the employers are mean by that, and what they're looking for is people who have understanding of local culture, local values, local jargons or legislations in any field they are working in. They are actually looking for that. How we can kind of navigate our way through when we come to such situation. Firstly, we have some local academic courses. For example, CA Australia, CPA Australia. This definitely gives you an edge over the others. You can also increase your local knowledge by visiting the respective websites, whichever field you are working in. For example, if you are in audit, you can go into and do a certified internal auditor course, or look at Australian auditing standards for that matter. If you are into investigation, or you're into AML, we have regulatory learning packs available on Australian regulators' websites, so you can go through that. So what we recommend also to the new migrants is there is also a program called volunteering. So people who come in, they can volunteer into the organization. They get that valuable experience, which ticks that box of you don't have a local experience anymore. And also one of the things which we kind of ask the migrants to focus on is to identify the pain areas into the particular industry, and also the solutions for that. So if that has been highlighted in your applications, your application stands out from the rest of the other people. So these are some of the things which new migrants or candidates should be kind of doing to navigate their way through. Second aspect and second most important impediments which candidates face is their lack of understanding of how the talent recruitment cycle works in Australia. It's really different. The world has changed really drastically since the change in technology. So the old ways of sitting onto the internet and applying on, say, any job portal website like Naukri.com in India doesn't work anymore. What else we need to do? We need to kind of understand how the hiring cycle works, where the jobs are advertised, how we are going to apply to them, make our application more relevant to those jobs. And we shouldn't be kind of jack of all trades and master of none. Australian market is very, very skills focused and certification driven, as Yatinder Gupta mentioned. So if a person is applying for a particular accounting role or an internal auditor role, the application has to stand out saying that it is explicitly made for an accounting or auditing position. Secondly, LinkedIn is a powerful tool, which really helps. So that is also something to be made professional and made use of. And also the references. That's a big thought here. When people come here, if there is an internal reference or an external reference for a candidate, that puts a lot of weight onto the applicant, because someone who knows someone will definitely vouch for that person's technical aspects, soft skills, and character reference, all those sorts of things. And lastly, some of the tools and techniques which candidates are not aware of in terms of how they make their resume more presentable, more relevant to the job, how the performance versus accountability driven resumes. So, for example, I've come across a lot of candidates who have resumes where they say that I'm responsible for doing these things. Okay, you're responsible for doing that, but whether you actually deliver that is a different aspect. So instead of writing and mentioning that we have responsibility for these things, applicants can mention that we have delivered, or we have performed the finalization of the accounts, or we have delivered the audit deadline. So these are important aspects which the candidates in an employment industry should be looking after. And essentially, lastly, what is the most important thing which I feel really whether a candidate is values and ethics of the organization, like respecting each other, being accountable, dependable, and trustworthy, honesty. These are more important, I would say, equally important as the technical side of the skills. And these are also part of the key performance indicators for the employees in Australian market. So I think I have kind of summed up all the impediments majorly come across the people and how they should navigate their way through. And we can discuss that over the question answers if anyone needs more specific side of that. So that's all.
Sure, sure, Prashant. Definitely, you already given some insight that how to prepare resume, how to respond, where to apply, how the chapters is working, what the skill set is required. So I'll come back on questions. Quite lots issues are there. But before that, I'll go again to the Yatendra Gupta ji. Yatendra ji, just you as aware of that India, MRA, ICAI and CPA Australia has all been signed. What are the benefits you feel while chartered accountant sitting in India completes this CPA Australia? Is there any guarantee while sitting in India get the work there in the Australia? How the Indian chartered accountant can start practice while sitting in India of Australia? As we've seen that there are a lot of outsourcing work is there. So while in India, Indian chartered accountant, how can mobilize major work, outsourcing work from Australia? Will it require a CPA Australia? So I question to you, Yatanji.
Okay, so let me clarify, and I'm talking to you very honestly. I mentioned to you before, to practice in Australia, you have to have number of licenses. Okay, so say if you want to practice in tax, you have to have tax license. You practice in audit, you have to have audit license. It's simple as that. You cannot do without it. You have to have license. Now, to have a license, you have to do study, you have to do the course and everything. Now, this is something is clear. Now, how you can do something if you are in India and without reaching out to somebody in a manner the way they can reach out to, suppose me, I have accounting firm. We have to think practically how it can really work. In my opinion, practically, you have to have somebody on the ground here to have those clients, and then you have to ensure that you have a certificate to practice those things. To get the tax license, It's like you have to, the supervision part is very important, not just the course. So tax agent in Australia must supervise this person. Now, how this person can be supervised? This person, now we have COVID. Perhaps we can do something of this kind, but the supervision has to be physical. Perhaps I can ask from TPB how it will work now, but I can tell you it has to be local. It's a very big issue, but hope I have answered you. This is a practical problem in this case. So the answer is, by sitting in India, you cannot really serve client directly. You have to have somebody on the ground, and then you can work it out.
Right. As you rightly said, that so you have to have somebody. Like young chartered accountants are India well equipped. They as did IFRS. They know all the accounting parts. As India IT in IT hub, it's a complete GDP earner, 60% more of GDP from the service sector, from the IT industries. How India's GDP can grow in the chartered accountant services in the outsourcing part. How our chapter can provide a outsourcing to our Indian chartered accountant.
Okay, so let's target about non-compliant work, which is very big. But I want to say something actually. After our MRA, I can only talk about from that part. We have built a reputation. I remember actually when we started about this journey, I used to request so many people, actually beg, not request. Can you please keep this guy? Can you please do this thing and that? But today, people request me, can I have your new member coming? New member, listen, it's very important, not the experienced one. So we have changed the perception in the marketplace that people want Indian chartered accountant. So this thing we have done very well. Thanks to the chapter, our board members, the team work together, they help each other, they build the skill of even the new member. If I can say, if we target in India about other services, which does include payroll, management reporting, cash flow, virtual cash flow type of scenario, cross-border advisory. So a lot of company now from Australia, they want to go to India. So there's nobody properly who can really advise them. There's a lot of perception. Perception is killing us between India and Australia. We have a perception that we don't have proper, we have to bribe, we have to do this. A lot of people waste time, a lot of people lose money if you don't have proper agreement, how you can enforce the agreement. We need somebody who can build this skill, who can help a client. So for Indian public practice, client could be sitting in Australia and they can help how to set up the business and so forth in India. It's a big business. And they can also advise the government body here in Australia. They can write they can publish a paper, what to do, how to do, which area is good. And if we can do regular part of thing, we can achieve this part filling thing as well with that. So to give you the answer, let's target other services other than compliance. And compliance can be worked with the other chartered accountants who are already in practice at different city of Australia.
Sir, my simple question to you. I am a chartered accountant in India. I did my CPA Australia. If I'm looking a job, then I'm looking at practice in Australia. Then I did my CPA Australia, and for practice, I need to have some licenses. How I to get that license? Because that license need experience. How I get the experience? How I build up that experience? Then only I will get the license. What should be done it? I know there one chartered accountant in Baroda. He's looking that he did CPA Australia from last 5-6 years. He's looking at outsourcing work from Australia, and he badly looking that I need to apply for license. For license, I need a experience. How I can get the experience?
Okay. As of today, you have to be in Australia to get this what we call supervision. This is the word they have used here. that you have to work under the supervision of the tax agent or the auditor. Okay. So say, I signed actually 2 days ago a certificate. And that person has to work under my supervision to do it's called SMSF here, audit. I cannot do this thing unless this person is directly under my supervision. As of today, we do not have any provision where I can supervise somebody who is not in physically at the same location where I am. Now, you can say, well, how it will work. I think this is the point. I can take it to my resources in CPA and CA here and the TPB, Tax Practitioner Board, and all those, and argue this that we need to have, because what is happening here, because of COVID-19, a lot of accountants will not be able to come, and we will have shortage of staff, and this could be an argument to supervise people back in India by sitting here and improve how we can use this new technology to do it. I suppose this is one learning for me.
I think one of the greatest thing going to be then, if it is going to happen that supervisory can be on virtual, then the Indian chartered accountant going to be immensely benefited. So I request Yatanji, please do that. Now one more question to you, sir. How, people did the, MRAs there, people did CPA Australia. Suppose if I have to migrate to the Australia, what is the opportunities in the practice? How I can start my practice in Australia?
Okay, so number one, you have to have a license. Is that clear?
Yes,
to
that's
do
clear.
the practice. So normally people start with compliance. Okay. So
suppose,
you have to have a license.
just here, for license, how many years experience they counted? How many year experience should be there for in the supervision under you or any practicing chartered accountant?
Okay, they have a number of hours. So say in case of SMS about 260 hours. For a tax agency, they have, I'm not 100% sure, but say 1 year. I think 6 months. And what type of job you have done? So like an individual, trust, and company. So they have so you have worked on all. And for audit, you have to have 2,000 hours. And after that, you can start your own firm. I'll tell you one loophole here, by the way, in Australia. You don't need to be CPA or CA to do the practice. Don't tell anybody.
Say it again, sir. Say it again.
Okay, so to do accounting business, accounting firm, accounting whatever practice, you don't need to be CPA or CA, but don't tell anybody, okay?
It's fine. Now, I have a question to the Prasant. As you are looking the job, how the job can be taken over by the Indian chartered accountant? Suppose I'm fresh qualified in India. I'm looking a job, and should I look the job in India itself? Whether I have to migrate myself, or after migration I have to look the job in Australia, and then what are the chapters are looking, suppose if hypothetically I reached there in the Sydney, I said, Prasant, I don't have job, please give me a job. What you will do it in that case?
Okay. I've get this question a lot of times, so okay, I'll answer that. So first and foremost, you have to be onshore to get a working. You need to have a working rights to work in Australia. So anyone who wants to get into an employment industry in Australia needs to have a working visa. There are different visa types, and Australian government's website has all the details about how we should apply for a working visa and work rights and all those things. Okay. So first thing first, as Yatinder said, you need to have a license to practice. If you want to work, you need to have a valid visa to work. That's first part. Second part, people have tried when they get a valid work visa to apply from India. But what happens, I'll tell you a practical example. If I am in India, I have an Australian visa, and I apply on an Australian website for a job. And if they schedule my interview in next 10 days, I cannot travel to Australia in next 10 days for an interview. because you're physically not on shore, so people will not be, employees will not interview you for regular. That's the majority of the cases. And thirdly, when people come here, the migrants come here, what, as I previously said in my session, that as a chapter, we conduct the workshop for these members. We basically, no one can promise you a job in Australia. Even if it is like cousin or someone, no one can promise you a job, because this market, as I said, it's really ethical, integrity driven market. So they can refer you, but no one can get you a job. However, as chapter, we give you those tools, techniques, and give you that edge that you will be above others and more equipped to get your first job. So that's what we do from chapter side. And we also have the networking platform from the existing members who basically, and we kind of introduce all the new migrants whenever we have the CPD sessions. All the new migrants get that chance to introduce themselves and network amongst our peer members. That's what we do, and we try every possible way to help our new migrants from the chapter.
Good. Subbu, there are a lot of chartered accountants settled abroad. They are in the Dubai, they are in the Hong Kong, they are in the US, Africa. What are the opportunities they are seeking in Australia? How they can get it. They are experienced people. They are not fresher from India. They are quite having experience internationally. How they have to approach, how they can get in the jobs.
Sure. Actually, that works favorably for them in Australia, because here the focus is a lot on rich experience rather than education. Like, education is just it's just an entry to the door, right? So, but experience is what kind of counts. So what we have seen is we have a lot of people who come from even countries outside of India to Australia, and the key thing there is that it is about setting expectations. So what happens is they come from a very senior positions in, let's say, in Middle East and all that, and then as soon as they come here, they expect like a CFO job. So here it's actually a case where we have to actually set expectations about the job market here and kind of who becomes a CFO. How do you? It's not that they are like less competent or anything like that, but it's just a matter of kind of getting used to the system here and then becoming what you really want to become. So. Experienced people bring, extreme amount of, I guess, richness and diversity to this country, which we all appreciate.
Okay, good. My one more point on this. What skill set is required in Australia to be a successful professional? And what are the programs being organized by the chapter to meet the skill set? And whether the proposed orientation program, this program, will going to be benefit to them and it's going to cater to them, and what other else we are doing for meeting the skill set.
So, this is going to be a long answer only because there are quite a lot of things. I'm thinking of how to provide an answer in a short, I guess, time frame. Essentially, I think it this way is that anyone, as Prashant said, anyone who comes to Australia, comes to knocks on the door of the chapter, we do kind of help them as much as we can. But when you say help, there are different types of help. We don't kind of help them in giving them a job, but we help them in getting a job, in the sense that we help them in polishing their techniques, what's really required, and adapting to the current situation. In addition to that, I think the key component that we have been really successful in is in networking. So here what happens is that there is a lot of preference for companies to recruit people who have been from a particular industry, right? So as an example, I came from India as an insurance professional, like working in the insurance industry. And the insurance industry over here Australia, of my skills. I was in just saying some resolving network issues. I'm not sure what's happening there, but they look at this industry match. So how our chapter kind of helps is that we kind of, all our members, are upwards of 500 members that we have in our chapter. We do know where they work, which industry they are in and all of that. So if say tomorrow you were to come to Australia and knock on our doors, what we would do is we would do something called that. We would help you to get in touch or network with people who would be the most relevant for you. Lastly, we of course conduct workshops and CPDs which are more relevant to job search and all of that. So some of the examples, I think one I mentioned in my earlier part of my speech as well, is around a workshop that we're having on 25th of July with regard to Zero, which is a software, and BAS, which is another return. And then in August, we are having actually a workshop which is actually called the Power of LinkedIn. And as you know, LinkedIn is such a useful tool these days, not only for for professional networking, but also for finding jobs. And it is kind of, we kind of help and, our members to kind of understand how to polish their profile and also help them again, connect the dots so that they can be successful.
So as you said that, in the forthcoming July, in the 25th of July, you are having this workshop. How the chartered accountants sitting in India can access of this program? So they are well versed with the Zoho or Zero and other software and LinkedIn. How they can get benefit of this?
So
how
all our events are published
you will
on our
upload this? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so all our events are published on our website, so ici.org.au. All you have to do is go to the particular event and register for it. Now, obviously, in the past, we have done these face-to-face events. Now, obviously, in the new scenario, we are doing everything online. So any member from any part of the world can avail the benefits of this.
Post-event also, you will have the recording of that event?
Recording is a tricky one only because, many a times what happens is the speakers that we get over here, and it comes back to the, the regulation thing that we spoke in the beginning, is that Australia is a very highly regulated economy. So what happens is there are a lot of, I guess, liabilities of professionals that, we got to be careful of what advice we provide. For example, we can only provide general advice. We can't really provide specific advice. So we got to be careful about recording and all of that. So at this point, I don't want to commit to any recording, but certainly more than welcome for any of our members to participate.
Okay, Prakashji, I want to have one question to you. How your chapter are helping to the industries to taking the help of the chartered accountant? Suppose you are taking it representative to the Australia. Are you taking all the chartered accountant also on the board, or the delegation which are coming to India, from Australia? You are involving the chartered accountants to for more matchmaking concept? What you are benefiting for the chartered accountant?
Yeah, actually, what's happening is quite a few chartered accounting firms are part of our chamber. They are members and they are participating. In fact, they come here and they want us to organize, sessions. So we invite some 30-40 members, and then they have a session with the members and all that, and say that, okay, you are doing business in Australia and you want to participate here. Then we are there available, giving all the services like that. So vice versa. We have PwC, they are our members, then KPMG is our members, Deloitte are members. So they are the firms which are actually conducting a lot of these sessions when these foreign delegates come in. And we don't take chartered accountants as such. If they join us, we sort of, communicate well in advance that this is the delegation which is going on. All along, we have been doing by way of sector-specific delegates, and some of them, they do bring in their CPAs, the CFOs with them, and we make them interact with the local businessmen, because when they come for business, they would like to do business. So other
is there any
specific?
Is there any membership criteria for the chartered accountant firm to become a member of Indo-Australian chapter?
No, anybody can become a member of chamber. There are no regulations. Now only we
So
started
what?
even individuals to become member. They just need to fill in their interest, what they have in Australia, and they become. That's all. So
So
we have
very
taken a
inside
lot of
news
new
to all
members.
participants. Very inside news for all participants. All the participants,
Yes,
please become a member of the SEPC and as well as the Indo-Australian chapter. If you are
chamber.
looking at job or a practice area in the
Right.
Australia. So now my another question to the Yatendra ji. Um, please let us know what the professional certification being other than the CPA Australia is required to get the opportunities as a professional career in Australia.
Okay, so thanks, Dheeraj. I just wanted to highlight our services to Prakash. It will be very helpful, and he will thank you tomorrow. Whenever Prakash, your delegation come to Australia, I notice they are all business people, and they do not have any understanding of business structures. Business structure I'm talking about, and basic fundamentals, say ABN, how to select your partner. So I was helping few guys who were selling their software services in Australia, and they were looking for some partner, but they did not understand how the structure works here. So on behalf of chapter, what we can do, we can help your delegation whenever it comes. We can give a 1 hour of session without any charge, or it's our complimentary to serve you, and if you serve us as well, so that your member who are part of your delegation coming to Australia, visiting Australia, we can help you with that. Okay. Now coming back
Yeah,
to your
sure.
this question, Dheeraj, there's a one. So whatever paper you pass for CPA to become CPA and CA Australia member, it really does not help much in technical knowledge about Australia, such as tax or other things. Okay. So what course you should do? Well, there's a one body called Tax Institute here. To do their course, they will teach you the whole business structures, tax planning, and all those things. Really a reputed course, in my opinion. You can do that, or you can select that specific module of CPA and CA as well. They have a specific module. You can select those, and you can pass those exams. It will help you far better, in my opinion, because they will give you material. You can have this material as a reference as well and pass exam. And for superannuation, it's called SMSF Association. It's called, the body name is called SMSF Association. You become member of that, it will help you. So for these courses and certificate, you don't need to be in Australia. Have I answered your question?
Okay. Yeah, I think good. My now another question is to you, sir. What accounting standard did Australian follow? Like
Okay.
IFRS, they follow IFRS. India, we have
Yeah.
the in the AS some certain carve outs are there. So how the Australian people are following it.
So it's a very good news here. Number one, these accounting standards are only applicable for large corporations or entities. So which got turnover of $50 million and more, employee 100, and assets $25 million. So in three out of these three conditions, if you got into two, then you have to have your accounts audited, and then you have to follow accounting standards, right? Otherwise, the answer is no. You don't need to follow any accounting standard. Actually, there's one secret more. Don't tell anybody. For companies, there's no need to have even accounts as per the Corporations Act 2000. I'll repeat. For the company here, which is called a small PTY Limited, as per Corporations Act, you don't need to require have even accounts. Okay, one
Okay.
director and one shareholder is more than enough, right?
So
But
no
for
need to
listed
file any
companies,
returns. No need to file
okay.
any
So
return.
now come to income tax. For income tax, you got to have calculation of income, and you can a calculation of expense, and you prepare your tax return. Hope I have given you the answer. So
Now,
it's very relaxed.
my question is that, suppose if I have opened up company in Australia,
Yep.
what do you need to done for the compliance purpose? Do you need to file an annual return? What kind of compulsory requirements are there?
So you have to lodge BAS, business activity statement. They are generally quarterly. They are GST, and for the tax deducted from the mainly two things. And for income tax, this is one return every year. You have to do it. And if you are crossing payroll tax threshold, then you have to lodge this online again, monthly payroll tax. It's not big deal. It's a small thing, but they're the only compliance. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. So the question to all three of you: in COVID-19 situations, I know that economy badly hit. What are the opportunity you see for the Indian chartered accountant in the terms of job, in terms of practice, in terms of the outsourcing services? In three of the area, I'll repeat all the three. What is your response in the question? So
Want me to start from me?
Yes.
Okay. I think, as I mentioned, it's a big opportunity because now we can argue that we do not have much manpower here, and we need to train people back in India so that they can service us better, because employment of those people physically here is not possible because they cannot migrate, can't have visa and all those things. So I think it's a good opportunity, good scenario, but somebody got to pursue it further.
Subbu?
I'll let Prashant go next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say something. Thanks, Subbu. Dheeraj, in terms of employment, I would say, as I previously said, visa is the criteria, and given the current pandemic situation, where obviously Australian economy is a bit hit, and people have been made redundant in the jobs, so there is a local labor force or labor supply available in the market currently. So I don't think so in terms of employment, the corporates are going to look after other geographical locations, because that is not, we are not at that stage where we can, do virtual onboarding and virtual employment in this scenario. So in terms of practice, yes, Inderji has said differently. I would put into the employment, it is a bit different. And we all kind of have different views. We agree to disagree. We have
No.
Yeah.
See, that's why I said, you are looking for I'm asking for employment purpose, and this is Yatanji asking for the TS service perspective. Yeah. So, Subbu, you have any?
If I may just, yeah. If I just may add just one thing, that considering the issue with, I guess, the visas and, people not being able to migrate to Australia, and being physically here for the jobs to be presented to them, I would probably give them a small tip or a trick that they can use. So as you know that to get a job here, it's important to meet the qualification of either being a CPA or a CA, ANZ, right? So how about think about it this way, that if you're really serious to migrate to Australia at some point, why don't you do your CA NZ of your CPA, especially when they have exam centers in India as well. Why don't you do that and finish that off while you're in India, and anyway you're not able to come physically here, and then when the situation kind of gets better, what you have is a CPA qualification in your hand, and obviously a visa to come over here, and hopefully by then the economy would be kind of better than what it is now, and then everything will fall in place. So that would be my one, I guess, concrete suggestion for someone who is really serious about this.
Okay. So, and my next question to all of three is that, I'm like you all already migrate to the Australia. Why you not choose the Canada? Why you not choose the USA? Why you not choose the UK? That's my question. Like suppose if I'm sitting in India, if I'm seeing that, where I have to move, whether to UK or USA or Canada or Australia. So why you people have choose the Australia? so that it can also help to me or my other chartered accountant. Oh no, I have to prefer other than the country to the only Australia. Why should prefer Australia? Yatan ji.
So, go for it.
Okay. So look at COVID-19. What has happened? We are doing far better than all those countries, and that's why we came here. We knew what is
Okay.
going to happen. But I'll tell you why. Weather-wise, this country is far better. When I took the decision, this was one of the scenario I figured out is we have all the 4 seasons here. Again, by the way, I'm not selling Australia. I'm not getting paid by the Australian government. Okay, so just to make a statement. Okay.
Okay.
In the laws are similar. If you look at income tax, capital gains tax, all those laws are the same. Only thing is, you have to relearn, but the concept are the same. We don't have wealth tax here. We don't have gift tax here. I don't know in India at the moment what we have, but the way we have is a provident fund. We have a super bit of name change. It's easier for anybody to get along with the laws here. The government system is the same. Almost we have upper house, lower house, same thing here. We have states. By the way, because we have 7, not 5. Yes. Just for clarification.
So
if
now,
you consider New Zealand part of us, then it's a different story.
Okay.
They don't like it.
yeah,
I know.
So, but otherwise, the similarity is quite common if you compare with, say, America. Canada is like us, but we have a weather problem there, and the UK, is again a weather problem, and again we have only 25 million people here. If you compare with India, we are only 2%, something like that, of Indian population.
if any other want to add anything on this? All right.
I'll just add quickly 2 answers. One, from my perspective, why I moved here. One answer on a lighter note. I'm a very passionate cricket lover, so obviously America and Canada out of the scope. They don't play cricket yet. And England didn't win the World Cup when I migrated, so that is out of question. So that's why I moved to Australia. That's one part. And yeah, on a serious note, second part is that this country has given me so much. I will always be grateful to, obviously, first India and then Australia. Whatever I wanted to do in my life in terms of socializing, you go for camping, you have your social network, and you have your pet and everything. You have a very nice work-life balance and everything. So I think that's the reason for me, apart from the geographical, climatical, and all the things around, to migrate to Australia.
Yes, that is the reason, our chairman Bhansraj Chuk ji, prefer the Australian, opportunities than they prefer the other country.
It's
Yeah.
well
Subbu,
said.
you want to add?
Australia is becoming closer to India for so many reasons because we have something common in it. Wavelength where once it starts matching with, so this chapter as such, and the ICAI wants to work together and definitely along with the Indo-Australian chamber also, and bring best to this nation. And wherever need be, we have to give them also. It's a reciprocity which has to move with. And I really understand the Dheeraj bhai taking all the things in such a manner so that we not only for this particular program only, and this journey has to go in such a manner, the beneficial will be the strength, the last person also from our fraternity. So Dheeraj,
Subbu, you want to add?
No, I mean, I think Prashant and Yatinder ji have already covered what I wanted to say. It's essentially, as they say, the commonality between India and Australia is the curry and the cricket, right? So, and that's all it kind of starts. But I think I would like to add another C to it. I think the chartered accountants, the C in the chartered accountants, are the ones who are actually also going to, become I guess, the bridge between India and Australia, and really, looking forward to that. Obviously, with the help of our institute, our parent body as well. So there's nothing much to add to that.
Okay. Now the next question is that after becoming a Indian CA and after doing CPA, Australia, is I'm eligible to sign the audit report of the Australian company?
So I think this is for me, right?
Yes.
So again, if you have a license as per ASIC, if you are a registered auditor as per ASIC, as per the Corporations Act defined, you can do it.
Okay.
Certification comes along.
Okay.
But Dheeraj, can I request you, actually, I'm requesting you now. I tried to get our audit experience acknowledged by Australian government here, and they agreed. I did really all hard work here.
Great.
The letter went to our institute through, I think, Foreign Ministry, Ministry of Commerce. Used to, I don't know what you call, Ministry of Commerce. It went to then our institute. And then institute objected or did not do anything. I don't want to pick either of that, and it did not happen. If suppose we have this response from our institute, we could have done a great deal, and perhaps we would have in such a manner somehow that at least your 2,000 hours of audit experience was acknowledged, and then you do a bit of paperwork, and you could have get the license. If you take this one from my side, first ask if he can do something in this regard. We can initiate again if it is required. So 2,000 hours of audit experience, which is very critical to get here because very few auditors are there.
Good. So one more thing, which state in Australia? I believe that there's a lot of states like in India we have in Australia Victoria hub or a different hub here. So which hub in Australia is promoting or providing accounting and financial services or jobs or practice in Australia? Whether it's a Victoria hub, whether it's Sydney or so what is the geographical area? Suppose if I have to migrate, which area I have to go, whether I have to go to the Sydney or Perth or which other
Sydney and Melbourne, they are the two major. Here you will have far more opportunity, and then you can spread yourself. This is my suggestion. So don't go to Darwin State, but if you come to this city, and then you can, because Sydney is the financial capital of Australia, biggest city. We are reaching around 4 million population in Sydney, and Melbourne is around 3 million. So you can absorb easily in this city, and then you can venture out. This is my
apart from the Sydney and Melbourne, which other cities are important for the Indian Chartered Accountant?
Perth will be better, and Brisbane.
Brisbane, okay.
South Australia is considered very low, and Darwin is again low. So Brisbane and Perth, too.
Okay. So okay, the
just to add on to that, Dheeraj,
yeah.
Sorry, just a quick point to add on that. Yatinderji rightly mentioned that obviously Victoria and New South Wales, basically Melbourne and Sydney cities are the metro cities with lots of opportunities. But it also depends on the requirement of the candidate and the skill set. If they are into the coal sector, all right, so they should go into the coal and Northern Territory where the coal industries are. If they are more into tourism industry-based chartered accountants, they are obviously Melbourne, Sydney, and they can look after Brisbane, Cairns, and all those areas where those industries are pretty, on the advantage. So that's my two things.
Oh, very nice. Now, Prakash and Yatinji, we have seen that Invest in India, a lot of programs are happening. A lot of we are hearing the news. World class company is going to be invest in India, but somehow we've seen that the country like Vietnam, like country from the other countries, Malaysia, other countries are getting preferred by them. So, what you thought about the Australia? Are they preferring India or they are preferring other countries? Which other countries in the Asia they are looking forward?
It has to be honest here, please, Dhiraji. Okay, and
Yeah.
few regions are very obvious, and people don't want to get into that, including me, if I have a choice. Labor law of India is very hard. The law and order very hard, and the land acquisition is very hard. Licensing, you can say, well, licensing can be done on one plate and everything. I hope our government is working on that so that we can have one window solution, something like that. And because of that, really, people, even I have concern. Have a lot of reservations. How we will manage? Though I have everybody in India, we can reach out to you, but practically scared people. Lastly, when we have Commonwealth game, a lot of Australian companies lost because of this thing happening. They could not get money. It gave a bad name for India. I know everything has changed, but we have to now build up some sort of a solution. That's what I was saying, cross-border advisory, where people can get answers and practical solution for these type of problem, so that people from Australia can really go out in a big way in India. And we have to have a one service from our institute or our member of the institute can give a due diligence for any prospective partner in Australia. This is the
So,
advice I'm giving you.
Prakash, I wanted your response on this.
Yeah, I think Yatinder has put the nail on the coffin literally, because let's face the fact, you and I live in India. The ease of doing business in India, well, we know about it. Let's not talk much about it. Now, when it comes for the foreigners to come in and invest here, that's the biggest challenge is that suddenly they feel that there is so much of paperwork and so many issues with the governmental regulations. And when it comes to your tax laws, there is no, permanency in the tax laws. They keep changing. So that's why they are worried about. So there is a tax administration is a challenge for us, the Indian businessmen. So when they look at India as a destination, it's not really favorable to that extent. Even the FDI investment which is coming in, they need to be, I see in my own industry what are the kind of spokes they put, and when you want to take back your money, that a lot of issues are there. I think unless we do some more systemic changes in our system, in our processes, I think it's going to be a challenge. And land acquisition is the biggest challenge from any company to come and look at investment into land. The experience, global experience, when you look at large companies coming into India and their experience with whether with the tax administration or with the local authorities, I think that doesn't give that much amount of confidence. There are better countries in terms of swifter approvals and other countries. Vietnam is one major destination which is dragging a lot of investment into that. We thought that post-COVID, a lot of investment will come from China, but the way investment is going to chase, they are going to chase those countries where they have handled COVID well. Our COVID situation is not very encouraging, the way we are handling it. So that is the other major challenge which is happening today. So that is what is my take. I think we have to be frank about it. Yeah, we are probably reaching at some point of time that we will come back with more transparency, faster and speedier. We are talking about a single window clearances. All that is very nice. There is one state, there is Telangana. Telangana is really showing. Okay? Probably they should look at it, that kind of administration across the nation. They introduce all these PFAS and all that stuff. So we should move into that direction.
Okay, good. Subbu, I have a question to you. Why would Australian prefer the Indian Chartered Accountant over the CPA Australia? The local.
Yeah, sure. So remember one thing is that when an Indian chartered accountant comes to Australia, and we mentioned this before, is that let's say they take a CPA qualification through the mutual recognition agreement, they are also a CPA. So they are no different to a CPA over here. So let's get that one straight. The second one is that the few qualities that I have seen, and I recruit quite a lot, and the ones that I have seen are, we speak about this very traditional thing about hard work, but in truth, that is so very true of Indian chartered accountants. Really, earnest, analytical, and all of that, like all the technical skills in the way they interpret laws and all of that. I think it's all I guess, the grooming that we've had in India and after becoming a chartered accountant. The aspect I feel on the soft side, I would say that probably needs could kind of potentially improve. But on the same hand, we are not one of those people who are going to be shy. And I mean, I know everyone's kind of has different personalities, but we are not, generally speaking. So I'm sorry, I'm making a bit of generic comments here, but then this is kind of based on observation, is that, we are not one of those who are going to be, shying away from, I guess, people. We are very social. We kind of talk to people. People kind of appreciate that a lot over here. And again, all the same, I guess, principles around, honesty, truthfulness, and, the most important, I would say, is following the rules and following regulations is really critical. So we bring a lot to the table
One
when
more
it comes
question.
to
One more
job
question. Those are
promotion.
added to here. Is suppose I'm a chartered accountant. I'm not done the CPA in Australia. CPA. I don't did any CPA. Is any difference to that?
It depends
To
on it depends on the employer. So many employers, what they do is, if you look at, say, so the most popular website, just like, you have, say, Naukri.com or something in India. Here you have seek.com.au. And if you just scan through the jobs for accountants, you will see that they have a requirement to be a CPA Australia or a CANZ, right? So if you don't meet the requirement, obviously you don't get the job, right? So you kind of get eliminated straight away. But then there are some who are kind of more open-minded in terms of, looking at other options. I don't see a reason why they would not, or why they would discriminate against an Indian chartered accountant. The only reason I can think of this comes back to the same point around experience. So the question would be, how much local experience do I have? And the second factor is, how many other candidates do I have? Because at the end of the day, this is a demand and supply game, right? Where it depends on how many people are available in the job market versus how many jobs are available. So comes down to that.
Okay. So, can you just put your comment on the work culture in the Australia? Is there any what kind of the probation period in the job? What kind of discrimination is there? So, can you just more highlight on the culture, discrimination, and the probation period? Anything on that?
Sure. So first of all, very, very clearly in bold letters, there is absolutely no discrimination in Australia against. In fact, it is actually illegal to discriminate. And as I said before, we are a extremely, rule-based economy. We do follow kind of regulations. Of course, bad apples are always there. People who don't follow, they get prosecuted as well, right? So let's make that very clear. On the part about like job probation and like the bonds and things like that. So first of all, there's nothing called like a bond over here where you are kind of tied into a particular employer for a period. Like I think that's how it kind of, I think, happens in Middle East. Of course, it also depends on the visa. Suppose if you have come here on a work visa, which is basically called an employer sponsored visa, then obviously you're tied with that particular employer. But then, you can pretty much leave anytime, but just that you have to, your visa status changes as well. In terms of probation, the standard is 3 to 6 months in any company, and it's performance based. And I have not heard of at least any of our Indian chartered accountants ever telling me that I could not clear my probation and I've been asked to do an extended probation. I've never heard that. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not a very difficult thing to do. It's more a formality of probation for 3 to 6 months.
Great. What kind of the chapters providing a facility of the e-library, e-book, or e-something? Suppose I am a member of India Chartered Accountant, wanted just to have knowledge of your Australia. How I can get it? Like I said that in 25th July programs you going to organize. How I can access if I'm not able to available on such date.
So I'll just say two things in response to that. So one is the have a look at our new migrants pack. It has a lot of information. And of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact us. And number two is that again, all the events are published on our website. So have a look. If you're interested in any one of them, do register. I understand not all topics are of interest to everybody, but whichever they are, then please do register. So we want to kind of, have a culture and want to kind of build that culture of being inclusive and kind of, serving our members as much as we can.
So, our chairman Hansraj Chugji has started very right direction the newsletter. He started launching the newsletter. I urge you, please intimate us about the futuristic program so that we can intimate to our Indian people that if you are at all interested in Australia, these are the Australia sections. You can go and attend a bit because we don't have the e-library sort of thing because of the regulations are there. But of course, the people are well intimated earlier can enjoy that fruits. So I think that will be if you intimate our committee, these are the programs going to be like there. So we can intimate all the people. You can take advantage. So I think it's a great learning. It's a time is there. 1:00. I request chairman.
I have a question with Yatendra Bhai. You see, like everything is whatsoever is been spoken with, the age has not been taught with. Is there is any age barrier? If suppose a person like me wants to move to the Australia, so is that is easy to move? Is there is any one of the question has come from my friend only from Ludhiana. Though I'm not
Okay,
interested.
the answer is no. Answer is no.
No,
Nobody can
okay.
discriminate on the basis of age. This is number one.
Okay.
But if you undermine yourself, this is your mistake. So what I'm trying to say, build your capability where you are and try to work in that space. Don't try to be just any other accountant. Because you have wealth of experience and knowledge and contacts. And if you do so, people will be coming to you to get the services rather than you reach out and get a job or something happening. This is my opinion. This is my daily job. Almost people approach me for this particular question, and I can tell you, if you work on what you have, then you will find the bright scope. People need your experience. People need the wealth of contact and knowledge of other countries, which nobody has. Think about that. How many heard, how many your friends like that? I don't know about your friend in Ludhiana. They will have this experience in Australia. None. But this person can be so better. But what happens when they come, they start some small project and lose it. This is my point. Hansrajji, I'm serious about this one. If you got my point. And it's very basic. That there's no other way. Nobody can discriminate on the basis of age.
So one of the question is that what are the most areas are there in the opportunities are lies in the Australia? Which sector, which area?
So a question for me or
question to you, sir?
Okay. So most of the people actually they want to live in a big city. If you are prepared to move to a country area, there's a lot of good opportunity in my opinion. Number two, people have to learn a bit of skill here, and then you can serve in. So specialization is the main thing, right? suppose once you work in the coal mining sector, you are in that area. So if you add something more with your skill, have a certification, and you can build your career in that area. You cannot have general accounting and get the career path. So regional area and add some more skill to that, which can equip you better for your job prospect in Australia. This is my percentage. Yes,
Prashant,
can't
I have a question. Prashant, there's a question to you. What are the visa requirements? How the I can get migrate? What are the procedure? How I can get it? What how the length it take times? What is the Can you guide to our participants over here?
Okay, so is it for me? You said Dheeraj bhai?
Yes.
Okay, so this is really tricky one when it comes to visa, because obviously this is governed by the government regulations, and they are constantly changing depending on what the industry or the country requires. So there are different classes of visa ranging from permanent residence to work visa, short-term, long-term, and even the student visa where the spouse can work. So there are different regulations on Australian website, and the visa times vary generally for all the different class of visa types which are given by the government. So there is no straight answer to that, because it's a very point-based skill assessment system in Australia. So each and every individual circumstances are different, and the points are ranging from your age, your qualification, your experience, and what all you can call them. So there are different parameters to grant a visa. Timelines differ, but it's something which I think individual candidates can approach the visa migrant agents or approach Australian government website to get more detailed information on that.
Okay. Good. So I think there's a lot of questions are coming from the participant. I think there's a more than 200 questions are there, more or less. So times doesn't permit to take the question. But the one question I think which mostly people are asking about the which software, like you have mentioned Giro and other base. What other softwares are Australian people are using it, and how they can get trained?
So Xero, 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 and these software can be downloaded for free, by the way. XERO, Xero.com.au, and you can download for free. You can just register and you can use it. MYOB, MYOB, MYOB.com.au. Okay, and QuickBook as well. But QuickBook is a very small portion of the market. They are the software being used by SME sectors here, big way. For tax, income tax returns and so forth, they have Xero got and Maya both got there like a practice platform. I don't think you can download that. But if you really want to know tax, everything actually you can get from here. Very simple law, very simple comparison to India, by the way. The return you can download, you can do a lot of things by online as well. For payroll, you have also within this software, you do payroll as well for the employee. Everything here, I would say now, I'm claiming to pay, but almost everything is cloud-based. No more manual processing, no more getting bank statement and coding and doing the data entry is finished long time ago. Bank statement come overnight, 2 o'clock in the night in your software automatically, and they get coded automatically as well if you have done proper rule in the software. Artificial intelligence in the software which does all these type of things. And shortly they will be starting here e-invoicing. They are going to kill manual invoicing. E-invoicing will be basically from software to software, and they will do all the data entry and everything. I don't know, I think we have something in India, e-invoicing as well. But in Australia we don't have. Hopefully we will have e-invoicing here. And so if you want to really learn this software, you are up and running basically. Xero.
There's good. There's one question from the Muscat, our chapter, Muscat chapter. He's asking that if I'm getting a PR invite from the Durban, what are the opportunities in there in the Durban state?
Okay, so Darwin is a small town, if I can say. It's a big state. It's Northern Territory, what we call. The population of this whole Northern Territory is around 400,000. Okay, so you have a lot of land to play, to do the gardening and everything. Job will be mainly in construction, mine, and bit of government sector as well. Cruises line comes there as well. So you don't have many. We have by the way, our rep office in Darwin without telling our president. So if you want, I can connect. We did a lot of things without telling our institute, by the way. But was not there. Our chapter can help. So tell your musket friend that it's good footing to move. He should consider seriously. Let me say. Not going there.
Chairman, do you have any questions?
No question as such. Whatsoever the question has come to us, basically we will be taking to all of you forward. After there can be a multiple question, so that has to be synchronized, and wherever we need your help to reply with to the individual member whoever raised it, that really you have to help us out in this. We don't want any question to remain unreplied. That will be through 101. That is my simple request to all my friends from the Australia, and to the friends from this chamber also, Indo-Australian chamber also. That will be a request from my side. Natendra bhai, Subbuji and Prasantji, you have to help us.
I don't know if we can have another session, or we can have a, I don't know, this is how it will work better. Otherwise, writing answer in, I don't know. We can have again those session, and we can address those questions again. This will be far better.
So I think it's a great session. We have to come to the end because time is giving indication that time is up as 1:15, and the time was till 1 o'clock. I think most of the questions been answered by the other panelists. We are happy to have the Prakash Challaji Indo-Australian chapter. He acknowledged that ICAI working together hands, and what other things are there. They enroll all the chartered accountant to the chambers as well as Indo-Australian, those who looking the opportunities in the Australian, and we have all the Sydney chapter people. All their email IDs are there on the website. You can ask as many as questions. Although all the questions being answered today program, whether it's a job, whether the practice, whether in the going to their have the practice in Australia or while sitting in India, and the various opportunities, all the question being answered, whether why the chartered accountant, Indian chartered accountant are being preferred there. Almost all the questions have been answered. They also answered why they preferred a Australian city to be a destiny of their life. Why not others? So all the things been answered. So I hope that it's all clarities goes to the all participants, those are attending this particular program. Still, if you have any question, still you have any doubt, still have any issues, please let us know. Our all panelists and even Prakash Challaji will there to help you. As ICAI, like Chairman our Hans Rajchuk ji is there for you to help out in any manner. We are coming with the newsletter. Through newsletter also we'll publish the e-library, what are there in the next program for the various city that can be available. So friends, it's a great learning session. I hope it will be useful to all of you, and a very great honor to have all the 4 dignities and as well as the opportunities given by the Hans Rajchuk, my honorable chairman, who organized this event. Very insightful knowledge to everyone. So thank you. Thanks a lot for all of you for great insight, great knowledge, great help to our fraternity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dheeraj ji.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Yatendra
Thank
ji,
you.
Prashant
Shubhji.
ji. Thank you
And
very much.
Thanks.
great
Yeah,
knowing
probably.
Mr. Yatinder, Subbu, and Prashant.
Thank you,
A lot
Dheeraj
of
bhai.
Yeah,
insights.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah,
We'll be
that's
in
great.
touch.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Prakash ji. It
Thank
was a
you.
pleasure listening
Thank
to
you.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, you too, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.